Well, hello, everyone. Welcome back into the Elite Real Estate Podcast. I appreciate you guys all jumping in and following us here on the Elite Real Estate Podcast. Wherever you find podcasts, you can also find us at the Elite Edge Network .com. Also, you can find us at the Elite Edge Network on YouTube. So when you find the YouTube channel, go ahead and like and follow there. And I am super excited for my next guest to come on today because we are going to dive into some stuff that's going to it's really changing the game and really changing the game of real estate. So my man Buz, how are you, my friend? Thanks for joining me. And I'm very excited we got to have this connection done.
Yeah, absolutely. Good to meet you today as well, Jimmy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So Buz, go ahead. I want you to introduce yourself to the people, and then we're going to dive into what it is you do because it's very interesting stuff.
Sure. Buz Artiano. I currently own a company called BuildX. This is my third startup. I've had built and sold two companies. My last exit was in 2021. Both of those businesses were in the fire and water damage repair space. And I focused on the reconstruction side of that, not on the tear out mitigation side. In 1991, continuously, I've been buying and building real estate. I've built over 800 homes, done many subdivisions and condominium developments, and combined with all the building and creation, I'm right at about $450 million worth of construction. And then in 2022, I started this company called BuildX, and here we are today.
So it's a lot of things, and over time, how did everybody talks about this, and I know it's been we're working on 6 years ago now, but how did COVID and the shutdowns and everything have an effect on what you're doing?
So that's a great question. So in 2020, we were very busy in insurance repair work. I also had two large commercial buildings that I was rehabbing for myself as rentals, and the pandemic started. In Massachusetts, we were considered essential services, so we never shut down. They never shut us down. We had to have no more than 10 people on a job site, et cetera. And for whatever reason, everybody was home and everyone wanted to spend money, and there was a lot of insurance claims. And between all those things, it was extremely busy. Unfortunately, in that pandemic, I did lose several really good friends to COVID, and was really, honestly, it really took me back. And then in early 2021, the phone started ringing, and all the venture capitalists wanted to start buying companies again. And I had been running that fire and water damage business since 2007, and that's a 24/7, 365 a day business. And I need a break, and they were running around with big checks, and I said, I'm going to take one. So I took a 6-month break after selling, and I learned a lot of lessons in that exit, and then started BuildX.
I got it. And yeah, and you're right. Like the pandemic was a wild time for entrepreneurs and business owners because we were all just kind of trying to flex with the time to figure out what we were even doing. I remember
those were some dark days for sure. I don't ever want to do that again. I definitely, if that ever, God forbid that ever happens again, I'll definitely handle things differently.
Yeah, I think most of us would, right? And it's with real estate and like in Michigan too. Like I had a closing the day before we shut everything down, and we had the plastic screens up and gloves and nobody knew what to do. Yeah. So we were all doing the best we could.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and you're right. The fire, the emergency water and damage, that is a 24/7 business. And when you structured that out, like what was that like on a personal level with just trying to be on call for that much?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I had a big team. We were doing anywhere from 25 to $30 million a year, roughly, 200 to 300 projects. I had a good sized team. I think we were at 27 people at that time, and two full-time chasers on the street. and a full, after hours crew. But it's still, you're going to get calls because they run into a lot of odd things in the middle of the night when they're trying to board up a house or doing whatever. So you're never really sure you're going to sleep the whole night. And over time, it honestly, it wears you out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the things I tell real estate agents because I coach and train real estate agents all across the country. And one thing I tell them is don't ever tell anybody you're a 24/7 realtor. Don't ever tell them that because they're going
That's
to
good
call you at 4 in
advice.
the morning.
Yeah, that's good advice.
Yeah, yeah. So talk to me about BuildX. Where did the idea come from? What led you to this, right? A couple years ago, and now you're into it. What started this whole thing?
Again, I had, I took 6 months off. I was finishing some projects that I was working on. And what the conclusion I came to is that I need something to be chasing for myself personally. I made a lot of money on that exit. I really honestly don't need to work anymore. But once you realize that you don't have for me, I'm talking for me now, when I don't have something I'm chasing and building, I just start to get, despondent for lack of a better word. And for me, I'm always happiest when I'm chasing a dream or trying to get something going or putting a deal together. That's when I'm the happiest. So I originally started BuildX and I was going to focus on architectural driven work from architects. And I was having difficulty breaking into that market because I wasn't known for that. And in December of 23, a good friend of mine called me and said, "Would you build us an ADU?" And I said, "Sure, Pam, but what's an ADU?" And she laughed and she explained it to me. And I had obviously heard the term before, but never paid attention to it. Fast forward to August of 24, we were the first building permit for a detached ADU in Plymouth, Massachusetts, and built that unit. And on a whim, I said to Pam, "Pam, would you mind if I host some open houses or home tours to see what the interest is?" And she said, "Sure, go ahead." And it was a detached ADU. And we had 5 weekends, so 10 total days. And we had over 300 families come through in that amount of time. And that was strictly from Facebook and a sign on the street. And I was like, wow, okay, there's a lot of interest in this. And B, I really like it because it brings me back to my first time home builder roots, if you will. And I'm a problem solver and I like solving problems. That's one of the things I really enjoyed about the fire and water damage repair business. The tougher the job was, the more I liked it. The more people said it couldn't be done, the more I liked it. And this ADU thing is just for me, I just love everything about it. And so from those home tours, I sold 5 more ADUs, and then we started the home tours up again in May of 25, and we had from May to December, we had over 700 families come through for ADU home tours. And from that, we sold another 20, and we just started ADU home tours again last weekend in January, 30 degrees out and raining, and we had 66 families come through in 2 days.
Wow.
Yeah. There was literally a line out the door for people waiting to get inside.
And again, and then we'll talk about the weather, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So for the people that are listening, explain to the ADU what is that? What is it? What does
Yeah.
it consist of, and why is it so popular?
So ADUs have been around in California for a long time. To give you an idea, last year in California, they built 34,000 of them statewide. Okay, that's how many they built. And an ADU is supposed to be subordinate to the main structure, but on the same lot. So in Massachusetts, in February 2nd of 2025, they passed a statewide law called the Fair Housing Act. And in that Fair Housing Act, it says that you can build an ADU as of right up to 900 square feet or 50% of the main house. So if you have an 1,800 square foot house, you can build a 900 square foot ADU. If you have a 1,200 square foot house, you can build a 600 square foot ADU. And it's as of right, you just need to meet the zoning requirements and make sure you have sewer and water and electricity. And you can rent them out. It doesn't have to be for a family member. You just can't do Airbnb. It has to be more than 30 days rental.
Got it. Got it. And then, so what's the, like, it's just an addition to the house, right? Like, is that basically all it is?
Well, it's a little more than that because it can be detached, attached, or inside the house. Those all qualify for an ADU. The most common ones that we build are detached. We have done one so far with a breezeway attaching, but the beauty of it is it is a legal residence. It has its own address. It has its own kitchen, its own bathroom, its own utilities, and it's somebody's house. And it can be rented, or a family member obviously can live there. And most get back to why it's so popular in this market here. A first-time home buyer house is $500,000 to $800,000. If it's a used house, it needs a lot of work, and you can build a really nice ADU on your parents' property as a first-time home buyer for $380,000 to $420,000 and have a beautiful brand new house the way you want it. 9-foot ceilings, quartz countertops, brand new everything, heat pump, AC, basement, a nice house, 9-foot ceiling, a really nice place for somewhere between $200,000 less to $800,000 less. And now you're near your family. So, and then the flip side of that, the other buyer is parent or parents selling their family home and moving into one of their children's backyards, or the child is buying the family home and they're building the ADU, and the parents are moving in the side yard of the backyard. And that second scenario is about 60% of our buyers. 20% is first-time home buyers, 25%, and then the rest is a smattering of different things. A lot of people that have someone in their family has a disability. That's a big market as well, because they're living in some really expensive apartment or a group home, and they have no idea what's going on with them, and they want to keep an eye on them.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, it's really interesting because, again,
Back onto that, just to get back to the COVID, that really changed people's perspective when they realized that, hey, I'm living in California or I'm living in Wisconsin and my mom is in Massachusetts and I can't move, I can't go there and help her, or I'm 10 minutes down the road and I need to go see her every day to help her with medication. And COVID really made people understand that being way far apart from each other is probably not a great idea, because no one's coming to help you except your family. Period.
yeah,
COVID proved that.
yeah, it did. There's a lot of good and bad things that came out of the whole
Yeah,
thing.
100%. But in the middle of COVID, I had a subdivision that I was in the middle of, a 30-unit subdivision, and I had people buying houses from me over Zoom without ever seeing it and showing up the first day they ever saw it from California or Oregon or wherever, and literally pulling up in the U-Haul truck, walk the house, go to the closing, and move in.
Yeah. Yeah. I can remember doing like FaceTime, from my phone.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
walking
we
through
did
the
that.
house
We
and
did a
showing
bunch of that.
people.
Or the parents were there and doing the FaceTime with the children.
Yeah.
So, people have realized that, if you're separated and there's an event, you're in big trouble.
Yeah. Yeah. And so this also, this is a big problem that we're seeing nationally too, is a lot of trouble for first-time home buyers. You brought that
Yeah,
up,
100%.
and
Well, we
again,
burned up all the good land with these silly subdivisions of 1.5 acres, 2 acres, 3 acres, 2,000 feet of road, 200 feet of frontage, right? All that snob zoning, if you will. For 30 years, I've been fronting planning boards and saying, someday they're going to let me build another house on this lot. And they all laughed at me. And here we are, building another house on that lot.
you saw the future.
It was, listen, even at a young age, I realized that we're just wasting a lot of resources.
Yeah. Yeah. What got you into the building? Like what led you down that path to get into the building trades and get into even the fire and damage repair? Like, well, how did that like did you grow
Yeah.
up with that?
Yeah. Good question. So, uh, they basically threw me out of high school and said, you can't come back here anymore. And I went to college for about 6 months to a community college. And they basically told me, you haven't been to any classes, you probably can't come back anymore. So I went and got a job as an auto mechanic and did that for a little while and didn't really like it that much. And then I met a home builder through an ad in the newspaper, and I went and worked for him for about 6 months. And then I left him and started framing houses in 1982 ish, 83. And at one point, I had two full time framing crews and framed a lot of houses. I think we framed over 500 houses. And then in 1991, I met a real estate broker and Gordon Sampson. Shout out to Gordon Sampson. And he said, I have these lots here that the bank has taken back from the builder, and they'll finance them for him. You just need $15,000 down to buy the lot, and you build the house and I'll sell it. And that's how I started building and selling houses. And at the same time, I met an insurance adjuster. And actually, he was buying a house from me, and he said, I have clients that have damage to their houses. Are you interested in going to fix it? And that's how I started the fire and water damage repair business.
Interesting. Yeah, I always find this with the majority of entrepreneurs that we don't, I was on we were talking about this in our office. And I said, nobody really starts out saying, I want to be a real estate agent. Nobody grows up like saying, I want to be a real estate agent.
So you are one meeting away from a connection that can turn into a career.
That's tell me about that again. So you're
So,
one.
so I meet Gordon Sampson as I'm framing for Bob Goslin, who's still a friend of mine. He's a builder. I started framing his houses, and I met Gordon Sampson through. So I met Bob Goslin from just driving up to the job site and asked him if he needs a framer. Framed for him for a couple years. Met Gordon Sampson. He introduced me to the banker that loaned me the money. That gentleman's still my banker, by the way. Okay. And from that, sold that house to that adjuster, who then introduced me to the insurance restoration world, and then started my restoration. So those meetings, all those people connected together, those little scraps all connected together to produce $450 million worth of construction.
I'm writing this down because this is gold, because you are so right with this. And this you never know who you're going to meet, right? And you never know who you're going to run into.
Well, and then so if you think about BuildX, so I originally was plotting a course for architect-driven work, and then 26 years ago, Pam Mayette, who owns that ADU, and her husband John, she used to work for me in my office, and she had to leave because she had her second child, and he was, he had issues. They didn't know what they were at the time. It turns out he's nonverbal autistic. So fast forward 24 years later, after her leaving my business, and I've stayed in touch with her, and we've been friends. She calls me and says, I want to build an ADU for our son. We want to build an ADU for our son because he's aging out of the system, and we don't want him to be in a group home because he's nonverbal and he won't be able to tell us what's going on. And that introduces me to the ADU world. And then having met other people in the town allows me to understand the ADU bylaw they're passing, get the first permit. I meet Rick Stoley from Build a Lead Converter. He tells me on a Zoom meeting about his clients doing open houses, which never occurred to me on a construction job. I've obviously done them in real estate, but never on a construction job. That idea gets planted in my head 6 months before that. I'm standing looking at the ADU, and I said, I should do an open house here. I call Pam. She says, go ahead. And the next thing you know, we're probably going to do 30 ADUs this year.
Wow. Incredible, man. Like that. And it again now, and then now, you're talking about him being nonverbal autistic, right? That opens a whole nother platform for you to build to with BuildX. It's a whole nother idea that we all struggle, whether it's an elderly parent, grandparent, or, a handicapped family member, like you could have them close, but still far away in a sense.
Yeah, no, again, I know I'm repeating myself, but if your parent or loved one is 10 minutes away, it might as well be 5 hours away because you're not going to see them every day. You're just not, right? And you have
Yeah.
no idea what's going on with them. If it's your parents, maybe you see them, let's pretend you see them every week, right? You're going to see them maybe 50 times a year. If they only live 10 more years, you're only going to see them 500 times. Okay. If you only see him once a month, now you're only going to see him 120 times for the next 10 years. Okay. If they're 50 feet away, you're probably going to see him 300 times a year or 3,000 times. What's that worth to you?
Mm. Yeah, that's interesting. And again, it still gives you the space though, right? Because now you're not.
That's why I like the detach, because it
Yeah,
feels like your own house, even if it's only 20 feet away.
man. And then, so like utility wise, utility, electricity, all those things, do you just tie off from the house into those?
Yeah, sort of. That's a loaded question, but I'm gonna break that down a little bit. In our area, we're on septic system. I'm assuming you have septics there where you are.
Yeah, we have both. Yeah, we'll have both. It just
Yeah.
depends on the
Yeah,
area that
so
we're in, right?
mostly where we're at here is septic. So septic is the wild card. You have to obviously get the lot to be what they call Title V compliant in Massachusetts. So that requires doing some investigation. That is the biggest utility driver, if you will, of cost, the variability. The water, for the most part, you either come off the existing well or the existing house service or a new service if you can. And electricity, you should always do your own electrical service because these units are typically all electric and they do require about 120 to 140 amps to run them because of the load. And mainly that load is so high because they require us to put a 60 amp car charger wire for future use. So that automatically kicks in 60 amps even if you don't use it.
Okay. So yeah, I mean,
Probably, in real world, they probably only draw, 40 to 60 amps, but you're stuck with these, requirements, and the service has to be sized to be able to handle it.
for all of our electric cars,
Yeah, they're not selling anymore, but
right?
that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, that's a whole other show. Oh man. So what is, I guess, for our audience and who people are starting out in business, what's your biggest piece of advice for just starting out? Because you've started multiple businesses, multiple success stories. What's your
Yeah.
biggest promotion
So
for starting a business?
So I'd love to tell you what I'm about to say is original content, but if anyone's listening and you're serious about starting your own business, you definitely, I don't know if you know who Alex Hormozy is. I don't know if
Mhm.
you've heard that term,
Yes,
but
sir.
yeah, I've met him twice in person. I've spent time with him. What you see on the camera is he's real. Okay. That's not a fake thing. He's a real guy. And with all his bumps and bruises and everything else. And that's what I love about him because he tells it the way it is. His advice is gold. If you just listen and do what he tells you to do, it will be fine. And the other caveat is, and he talks about this a lot, it's gonna hurt a lot. And that's
Yeah.
okay. Because if it's hard, lots of people will quit. If you just don't quit, okay, I would say that's my number one success trait, if you will, is I'm too stubborn to quit anything. I'm a terrible speller, okay? I have a little bit of ADHD, okay? I'm I have tons of flaws, but I will tell you my superpower is I never quit. Just
Mm.
keep moving.
I love that. And you're it's so spot on, right? Alex, I've seen a ton of his stuff, obviously. I'm a big Gary V guy too, right? So if you
Yeah,
watch,
and him too. Yeah,
you
him
know,
too. Yeah,
yeah,
100%.
yeah, and it's just do it, right? Like we're the generation that we just figured stuff out. We didn't, there was.
Well, I never had a choice. So for me, I was unemployable. So I had to go work for myself.
I kind of feel that same way now. Still, I think I'm unemployable now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Probably even more so now for both of us, right? Even more so now.
No,
We're
yeah, no.
unemployable. Yeah.
I'd last about, I don't know. I'd probably make it to lunchtime.
Oh man, I love it. And how is this like so like technology, right? I've been in this in this AI deep dive for probably a year and a half now.
Yeah.
Of learning AI, how it works, how it operates. How has that affected what you guys are doing?
Well, we use a lot of AI here ourselves. I was 2022 started with ChatGDP early versions.
Mhm.
Said to my daughter, my older daughter, I said, this isn't going away, and started, and again, I was a, I want to call it a very light user, just basically learn because my first use, take an email, put it in there, and say clean it up, take it
Yeah.
back out, put it in the email. Okay,
Yep.
and,
Easy.
yeah, and for me that I was like, wow, this is awesome because that's exactly the way I wish I could have said it, but I couldn't figure out how to put it that way. So, and then from there, now I'm on Gemini, Claude, and Chat. I use all three for different purposes. I've built gems, I've built bots. We've, been given some, large language models that we've inserted into Chat. So it's a big part of what we do. We use a lot of AI for content and clipping content and the captions underneath, all those things. So I would say I'm a C minus user, working on getting my way up to a C plus.
Kind of like being in high school again, right?
Yeah, so you know how that's going to end.
uh yeah, and I've been on this deep dive with it. So is it helping you? Does it help you with blueprints and design work?
No, you know what's fascinating, and so ChatGPT is terrible at images, right?
Mm.
Image creation, it's terrible. Gemini is phenomenal. So about maybe 3 weeks ago now, 4 weeks ago, the gentleman, Aaron, that helps us with our website, started introducing me to Gemini because I had not played around with it at all. And he showed me how that image generator worked. And I really spent some time with it over Sunday. And the crazy thing about these bot or these bots, if you will, is I went into Gemini and said, write me a gem. That's what they call them in Gemini. Write me a gem so that I can take an image and drop it in there and we'll do these things. And I told it what I wanted to do, and then it wrote me the prompts, and I copied and pasted those and put them in the gem. And now I just put the image in, click that gem. Well, click the gem, put the image in. There's a command line that goes with it. And a minute later, I have the exact image I want.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's phenomenal, and it's really upped our presentations, our proposals, the quality of them tremendously. They were good before, they weren't great. Now they're great.
Yeah. Yeah. No. And the tech, I mean, the tech, it's here. There's no putting it back in the box. It's here and it's out of the box. So
Oh yeah, 100%. And that just going back to your other question, that's the other
yeah.
advice I would give people. It's okay to just start where you are. I was joking with the team here. I went back and looked at some of our proposals from 6 months ago, and I'm like, those are awful. Like they are just awful. But you know what I say? Hey, you know what? People bought stuff and we sold stuff, and now we just got better. And now we're looking at the proposal from a month ago, and we're like, wow, those are awful. But it's okay because we sold 20 units from them. So just start where you are. It's never going to be perfect. We're always iterating on it. And I'm sure 6 months from now, when we look at the proposals we're putting out today, we're going to say, boy, those are awful. Look how great they are now.
Again, you're dropping some great knowledge on me now because I just start where you are. Again, I always joke, and I always say that when I have guests on, I want to start my own T-shirt line, so maybe start where you are is going to be a new T-shirt for the Elite Real
There you
Estate
go. Yeah.
Podcast.
Well, that's how Forrest Gump did it, right? With the smiley face in the mud.
It
Yeah.
happens. Yeah, it happens. Oh, I
Lightning
love it.
strike. Lightning. That could be the winner right there.
That could be it. That could be it. Oh,
Well, at least send me a free T-shirt.
you got it. I'll send you a T-shirt for sure.
All right, extra large.
But so BuildX, so now all this technology is rolling in, and BuildX is. So what's next for BuildX? What's the next thing on the horizon? Because you're not going to sit still.
No, we're not. We're actually we started with a product called BuildXX for our project management, and long story short, my daughter owns a company as well, and I started her. She was starting up, and I said, let's not use BuildXX. Let's look at JobTread, because I looked at it 4 years ago, and maybe 3 years ago, and it wasn't that good. But I looked at it again, and it really made some tremendous improvements. Shout out to Eric and his team. And so she was on JobTread, so I was seeing what she was doing, and we recently switched from BuildXX to JobTread. And anyone that's ever switched software, you know how difficult that is. It hurts a lot, but 100% worth it. So JobTread, we're actually in the process of getting off a Go High Level and going to HubSpot. So another software change. But I would say if you're looking at any technology, make sure the company you're looking at has a tremendous amount of AI already built into it, or can connect to AI through an open API before you invest any more time or energy into it. And the longer you wait, if you stick with an older software and it's not improving, the worse it's going to get, and the harder it's going to be to switch.
Yeah.
You have to really take a close look at your tech stack and make sure that it's going to work for you into the future.
Yeah. And one of the things that I've been with AI is, connecting. I'm a big proponent of emotional intelligence, right? And we can't affect, or we can't help the things that happen to us, right? Things are going to happen to us that we have no control over. The only thing we control is how we react to those things, right? And do we fly off the handle? All those kind of things. But I also talk about, if you're operating in chaos already, and you add AI to it, you're just speeding up the chaos. You're not fixing it.
I never thought about it like that. Yeah, you're just increasing the stupidity quotient.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's if you're not on a good schedule, if you're not building things the right way.
Yeah, you just get worse faster.
That's it. So you're right. And you got to make sure your tech stack is operational, what's working correctly, things are going right before you automate everything. Because if you're just automating the bad stuff, it's not helping anybody.
Well, I would say the one thing that I've realized quickly here now, believe it or not, the way you can stand out from your competition is don't hire an AI bot to answer your phone. Don't hire an AI bot to answer your customers. Pick up the damn phone and call people back, because you will be the rarity and people will really appreciate that. That's my advice.
And it's gold. And you would think, with what you just said, seems so simple, right? Just pick up the phone, right? You would think that would be probably one of the most simplest coaching pieces of advice you could give anyone in the world, is just talk to people. Because what AI is never going to do is replace this conversation. It'll learn it, right? It might get.
Yeah. Actually, what I'm looking forward to doing. So I've been recording with permission all of my customer meetings and proposal reviews in a product called Zero, and there's about 2.5 million words in it, and it's been transcribed, and it's now in a large language model of its own. And I'm going to keep building on that. I'm looking forward to 2 years from now having an argument with myself.
And it's funny because you have to spend time with it, right, to get it to where you want it to be. But you can do this. You can create your AI twin, and then you can argue with your twin.
Yeah, and I'm not sure whose money. I don't know where to put the money, me or the AI thing. Me.
Well, it's funny. It's I'd rather do that than argue with my wife, I think. I don't know.
I'm gonna leave that one alone. My wife
Yeah.
might choose.
Yeah, they might hear this one. We gotta keep this one quiet. Oh man. But so the future is gonna be automation, right? And what with
Well,
BuildX and what,
it's in the audit. This is my take.
yeah.
Take it for what it's worth. The future is automating the redundant things that can be easily automated. Filing photos, documents, emails, text, all those things, helping you, get a proposal, checking the context, the format, all those things. But what it can't replace is you meeting with a customer or a potential customer
Mm,
and understanding what they're trying to accomplish. And then that's where your creativity comes in. And then maybe you go back with that data and you have a discussion with AI to get another perspective. But then it's you tweaking that to come back to the customer and say, based on all the things that we've talked about, this is, I think, the best solution. And then have that dialogue. But don't hide behind a screen. Don't hide behind a text. Go and meet people in person if you can, if it's that type of business, or at least do it by Zoom and talk to people in real time about real issues. And that will actually that will separate you from most everyone else.
yeah. Yeah, I love that. And you're right. It's that natural building the relationship piece that it can never be replaced. I don't care what technology they come up with. You can't build
Yeah, if
relationships.
you think about that, right? The way that plays out, if that existed 40 years ago, I probably don't even exist the way I exist today,
Yeah.
right? Because of all those connections that I made by spending time with those people in proximity to them and working with them and doing things together, right? So you still, the number one thing I hear from clients, potential clients and clients, is that the reason they love doing business with us is because they can pick up the phone and we answer the phone.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
and they all say this to me. I'm not going to name competitors, but I go in behind some of my competitors, and they all complain like, "Yeah, we put an online, request in, and we got a bot that asked us more questions, and then we answered those questions, and another bot came on and tried to schedule a meeting before we even talked to anybody, and we
Mm,
just after a while we just gave up because no one wanted to, talk to us. All we
yeah.
wanted to do was talk about what we wanted to do."
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. And again, I'm a big proponent of like handwritten notes, for realtors.
Yeah,
Handwrite
100%.
a little note, throw it in the mail and mail
Yep,
something.
yep. Send a thank you card. Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. What one of the questions that I wanted to really hit on with you too is with BuildX and when you're meeting with clients, what are some of the biggest objections you're getting, and then how do you overcome those objections? Are there a lot of objections you're getting with this?
I wouldn't say an objection, but the ADU journey is 70% family dynamics and 30% what they're actually going to build.
Mm,
And I'm just going to use one scenario. So a mom and dad are getting ready to sell their home and they have 4 children. And all 4 children live in locations where they can build the ADU, right? Now they have to pick one child out of the 4 to build the ADU with, right? So now all of a sudden that creates some tension with the other 3. Now they're taking $300,000 to $500,000 of their estate and putting it in a child's backyard. That child's being enriched by that real estate investment because mom and dad aren't going to live forever,
mm,
unfortunately, right? Nobody gets
mhm.
out alive. So that affects the estate planning and the inheritance. And so there's a lot of family dynamics, especially if there's multiple siblings behind that ADU. And we've had a lot of projects where the parents wanted to do something that you just couldn't get the family in alignment, and the
Mm,
projects have gone dormant, if you will. I don't know if
yeah.
they're dormant. I would say the next biggest stumbling block is the cost of it. In our market, a nice ADU is somewhere between 350 and $450,000, right? And it sounds like a lot of money for a 900 square foot house, but that's the product that we build. You can never overcome objections. You can only make people understand what you can do and what problem you're solving. My job is not to overcome objections because I'm not trying to convince anyone it's the right project to do. My goal is to make sure they're building what they want to build and it's being built properly. So when they move in, they're happy and they don't sit on their couch after they're in and say, boy, I wish we had done this differently.
Yeah. Yeah. And because you are solving a problem, right? That's we already know what exists, and you know what you
Yeah.
build, and you know what your
Yeah,
product is.
and again, I didn't realize that probably in about a year into it. That's what really attracted me to it, is that it brought me back to that. That's one of the things that I really loved about the fire and water damage repair. I would show up, the house would be damaged, there'd be chaos, there'd be disrupt, and I would just do my magic and get them back in. And obviously wanted to make money doing it, but I had a lot of satisfaction of getting people's lives back together. And this is a little different because we're not under that immediate duress, but it's the same principle. And I feel like I'm really doing something. I like to leave things better than I found them.
Mm,
That's my whole thing with me.
yeah. Yeah. And again, you have a product that people want. So, like to your point, you're providing a service that your job is not to overcome the objection. If it's too
But
expensive,
I but I want to make sure it's going to fit their lifestyle. We spend a lot of time. We do a process called pre-construction. Once they decide they're going to work with us, we spend anywhere from 3 weeks to 3 months in pre-construction, where we work through plans and finishes and location and siting and septic, and we want to make sure we use a product called Chief Architect, where you can see everything in 3D, and we're changing the plans and putting furniture in and making sure it's going to fit their lifestyle when they move in. Because the biggest, honestly, my biggest disappointment for me would be somebody moves in an ADU and calls me 6 months later and says, we really want to rip these walls down because we don't like this layout.
right.
That would take my soul.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, it's all the work on the front end, right? So when you sit down with someone, like how long is that typical consultation when someone first comes in?
Yeah. So our process is phone call, or a lead comes in, you raise your hand, say you want to work with us. We do what's called a project discovery call, which lasts typically about an hour, where we talk through zoning and we use a product called Future Lot, where we can see how the ADU will fit on your lot, in real time, zoning setbacks to scale, everything. And we talk about that whole process, and we talk about budget at that moment as well. Assuming all that makes sense, the next step is, if they haven't been to a home tour, they need to come to a home tour, walk through an ADU, see what we build. Then from there, I'll go to a site visit. That lasts about an hour and a half. From the site visit, if we'll talk about budget again. If the budget makes sense, then we'll go to a formal proposal. Proposal will give you a budget range, identify all the things we don't know, such as septic, but we can make some inference based on what we know. And then from there, we would enter a pre-construction agreement to work out all the details so that we can then get to a fixed price. So we spend a lot of time together. I would say just to get to the pre-development agreement is probably 5 or 6 hours with our team.
Mm. So you're really getting intimate with your client, right, and getting to know everything about them.
Oh yeah, because this is if you think about it, for an elderly parent or an older parent, this is their last stop,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
They're not gonna sell it and build another house,
Yeah.
right?
This
This
is
is
it.
it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And we want to make sure that that house is going to be future proofed as possible, so they can stay there as long as they possibly can, right?
Yeah.
3 foot doors, lots of room in the bathrooms. Probably one of my biggest pet peeves is a lot of these plans online have the worst bathroom layouts you've ever seen in your life. Um, and 3 foot doors, accessible, easily upgradable if you need to change the vanity so you can roll under it. All those little things that are going to allow you to stay there for 10, 15, 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
And
And
let's face it, the goal is you're in your bed and you just don't wake up some morning, right?
Yeah, that would, yeah, that's, yeah, that's, that would
I
be
mean,
nice.
listen,
Like,
nobody's getting out alive, but what
right,
we don't want to do is you're struggling to live in your house because it wasn't designed properly.
right, right. There's stairs that I can't walk up anymore. There's not a
Yeah,
bathroom on the
all
one
those things.
level, and
Yeah, it's a disaster. If you don't talk about that stuff in that pre-construction and be real about it, and you just want to placate their feelings and say, they say, "Oh, I'm never going to need grab bars." Yeah, I understand that, Mrs. Smith, but someday you will, and I'm still putting in the blocking. Don't worry about it, because when you call me 10 years from now and say I need my grab bars, I'm going to come over with a screw gun. I'm going to put it on in about 5 minutes, and it's going to be done.
yeah,
Right? It's not going to be a fairy tale about, well, you told me you never want to grab bars, so I didn't put any blocking in.
yeah. And you've got a tried and tested system, right? This system works. You know how to do this. So do you have just like different models? Like, are they basically all the same
We
size or
do.
just a
Yeah,
couple different
there's
models?
14 base models on our website, and
Okay.
we're updating them all the time. The pricing for the unit itself from the foundation up is on the website. The pricing you see does not include site work because we don't know where you're building it. And we just dropped the new model today. We replaced the X4 with a new X4. It's now called the Atrium. Beautiful model. And so over time, as we're working with customers, I'm finding models that I really like, and I'm changing out the models that aren't that popular.
Interesting.
And all the models on our website are customizable. They're not, it's not just build this. We can change it any way you need it to be changed.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're in Massachusetts. Is the goal to be like nationwide? How's BuildX gonna take over?
I don't know. I don't think that's my dream. Our goal for this year is to build between 30 and 36 units, have really happy customers, 5-star reviews. You can see our testimonials online. And I think you lose something when you try to be too big. You don't have that, one-on-one. Now, that's not to say that there isn't I'm not going to call it a franchise, but there isn't a business model that can't be made for someone to buy the system and recreate it somewhere else, but not under the BuildX brand.
You're right. Yeah, there's something to be said about some licensing and right and
100%, because it's a lot of work to build a new system.
yeah,
And honestly, if someone had come along a year and a half ago and said, for $5,000 a month, here's a tried and true system, here's a tech stack, here's the plans, here's how you do it, here's what you say, here's the magic words, here's all the proposals, here's the this, here's the that, I would have said, sign me up.
so see now maybe you're going to be the one on the other side of this now that's going to whoever's listening to this now, right, is gonna we're gonna now then I want that to come back to me.
There you go. There you go.
I'll send you the t-shirt. You send me the royalties from that idea.
There you go. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Big fat check.
That's right. That's right. So what's the goal for this year for
So
2026?
so 30 to 36 units, sold, finished, moved in. And we're on track for that. We have, I think, 14 to 15 right now in pre-construction or permits. So I
Okay.
think we'll make at least 30.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if we're already in that, you're going to be well on your way for that.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
the other thing, don't forget, right? It's funny. So there's the paperwork, but then you actually have to go build something,
Yes.
right? It's one thing to sell it, then you have to build it, and you have to build it right, and you have to build it correctly, and you have to make sure your clients are happy.
Now, let me ask you this: how big is your crew now? Like, how big is the crew? How many employees do you have building?
We're at 17 people right now.
Okay.
But almost all of our construction end of the business is subcontractors, tried and true subcontractors.
Okay.
Yeah, so we do have a couple dedicated field people for punch list and other small things, but our business model is dedicated project manager. You get assigned a project manager as soon as you sign a pre-construction agreement. He's assigned to the project. He gets to know you, and he's in charge of that job from day one to the day you move in. And that is what gives continuity and comfort to our clients, so they know who they're dealing with, and there's no changes of the guard halfway through, if you will.
Right. Right. No, 100%. And it's like, Ray Kroc had an idea with McDonald's, right? And that idea is you should always, everybody should get the same amount of customer service, right? It doesn't matter which model they pick. It doesn't matter what neighborhood they're putting it in. It doesn't matter, what area it goes to. It should all get the same level of service.
Yeah, and again, there's lots of great builders and contractors that are terrible at customer service. I mean, horrendous, right? But there's lots of really bad contractors that are bad at both too.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of really good builders that just don't understand the customer service piece. It's not just building a great product, which is lots of great builders. It's all the other things that go on the front end and the back end that they're missing, that leads to the client not being that happy, even though it's a great house.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, it's true. It's true. Like, and then there's some really great people that are really good with customer service that aren't very good builders.
Yeah, I've cleaned up a few of those messes over the years.
It happens.
I pulled up with a job one time when I was doing the insurance restoration work. A adjuster called me, said, "You got to go see this little old lady. Something's wrong over there." I pulled up. I'm staring at the house. I'm like, "It doesn't look right. There's something wrong." And I walk up to the house and I realized they had put the vinyl siding on upside down.
What?
Yeah, but it was really well done. Like, the cuts were really nice. It was, it was really done well, but it was literally all of it was upside down.
That seems like it would be really hard to do, doesn't it?
Well, actually, if you think about it, they got to start at the top and work their way down. So I don't know, but it was. I sat in the car and stared at it for about 2 minutes. I'm like, there's something wrong, but I can't figure out what it is. And I walked up to it and I said, "Oh, there you go."
Wow. I've done construction and I've put on siding, and it's difficult to click and put it all together. And I'm just trying to imagine being able to do it upside down. Yeah.
So I've seen some crazy stuff. I won't bore you with those war stories.
No, it's all good stuff. It's all good stuff. And so, I'll go back to the t-shirt, start where you are. And, you started a phenomenal business in an industry that needed it very badly. At a time that it was chaotic and crazy, coming out of the post-COVID, right? And into this real estate market of, craziness of, we're listing it, we're buying it without even seeing it. We're doing all this, it slowed a little bit, which it needed to, right? It slowed a little bit what it needed to. Now, does a standard mortgage work with what you guys are doing?
It does. Most of the clients are doing some version of a HELOC, home equity line of credit.
Okay.
Because they usually, not always, but usually disposing of a piece of property in order to build the ADU, or in this case, in that first scenario, the mom and dad is selling their primary home, or a daughter or son-in-law is, buying the primary home and selling their other home. So there's usually some version of a HELOC that's involved, what I've seen so far.
Okay. So
that's the least inexpensive. That's the most cost-effective way to finance the build.
Yeah. Yeah, because I was just curious about that from a mortgage standpoint, like putting my mortgage hat on and thinking about what that would be like for a mortgage standpoint. Now, and on top of that, now the insurance piece too, is it just a standard insurance piece for that too, or?
Yeah, great question. So first step is make sure you have a builder's risk policy under the building while it's under construction. Once it's finished, you can just call your carrier and add it on to as an accessory structure, and then tell them what value you want to put on it. But it's not insurable while it's under construction.
Right. So with
a builder's risk, you can't put it on your homeowner's policy.
Okay. Yeah, because that's an interesting question. I thought, as I'm wrapping this thing through my head of like, how can I build my mom and dad a house?
There's aggressive. I just got an email before I came over from a bank. They will do They'll go in second position behind the primary home mortgage, up to 90% of the value of the ADU contract, up to $450,000 at standard mortgage rates.
Yeah, that's. I mean, again, it's a genius idea. And then if you thought about this too, we'll go back to building one of these for your wife, right? So we would have separate quarters, maybe.
Well, it's funny you should say that, but most of the older couples, they all want 2 bedrooms for that reason.
Yeah. No, it's fun. My mom and dad, I still have my mom and dad. I'm lucky, I'm blessed. They're in their 80s, and they've been in separate rooms for I don't know how long now. That they've stayed in separate
You're
rooms.
on different. The biggest thing is they're on different sleep schedules.
Yeah. Well, and then you got the sleep apnea machine. You got this thing running. You got that.
Whole 9 yards. Yep.
Oh,
we're
man.
not 20. We're not 20 years old anymore.
No, we're not. We're not even close. I wish we were. But so where can everybody find BuildX? Where can they go find you, Buz? And where can they find more information on what you're doing?
Yeah, BuildX.com. That's buildwithAnX.com. That'll take you to our webpage. And then look on any social media, type in BuildX or BuildX_USA. And that'll take you to all our social media. YouTube channel. We have a big YouTube channel, 400 videos on there. Lots of on the job, filming, video testimonials, drone footage, me speaking in front of groups. There's a lot of videos on there, and we post quite a bit. So, but just start at the website. That'll take you to the plans, and you can see what we do.
I love it. And what's next for you? Where are you speaking at next? What do you have going on just personally?
I actually have another Zoom meeting to get onto here, and I forget what time, but soon. And then I have a couple speaking engagements in front of some senior centers in local towns. The seniors have a big interest in ADUs, and they want to hear from someone that's built one and understand what it really takes to get it done. Unfortunately, there are some, in every market is like this, there are some people putting advertisements out saying they can build an ADU for $150,000 or $200,000, but they leave out all the stuff that actually needs to be done. And then, these people get false hopes. They get involved. Hopefully they don't spend any money, but maybe they spend some money on a pre-construction or a survey, and then the real cost comes out and they realize they can't afford it. I don't operate that way. I give you a real budget from day one. It either works or it doesn't. So it's just important to get real information out for people so they don't get, I'm going to use the word scammed, but maybe that's a little aggressive, but they don't get taken advantage of.
Yeah. No, it's real. You can build one for $150,000. You're just not going to have running water or lights.
Yeah, other than that, it'll be fine.
Yeah, other than that, it'll be great, right? It'll be great. Well, Buz, man, I appreciate you jumping out with me, and sorry we were running late, a little bit later than we wanted to today, but no, I appreciate it, and you have a podcast as well.
I do. Yeah, it's on BuildX. If you just go on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, just type in BuildX, we'll come right up. And I think we have 50 episodes, 48, 50 episodes up, and we're filming a couple next week, and this one will be on there as well. So it'll be good stuff.
I love it. Well, I appreciate the time, my friend. I appreciate everybody else's time posting into the Elite Real Estate Podcast. Thank you for your time, Buz. We'll be back again next week with another episode. And Buz, you take it easy, my friend. You guys take it easy. We'll see you next week.
All right, you got it.